Welcome to the Business of Restoration podcast. This is a podcast that we put on here at Next Gear Solutions. My name is Tim Kempe. I'm the Chief of Staff here at Next Gear. I love this podcast. I love this way that we can connect with owners. I'm really excited about the conversation we've got between Gabe Matthews. Gabe is the owner of San Diego's Christian Brothers Emergency Building Services, and Garret Gray, our CEO here at Next Gear Solutions. A lot of great content in this podcast covering topics ranging from COVID to mergers and acquisitions, generational planning, and building great teams. As always, I welcome future topics, suggestions for our podcast. We want this to be something that serves contractors in our industry. By all means, send me an email with ideas, thoughts, comments. My email is tim.kempe@nextgearsolutions.com. Without further ado, let's get to today's episode between Gabe Matthews and Garret Gray. Hope you enjoy.
Button's red, so that probably means we're recording, huh?
Yeah.
How you doing, Gabe?
Good.
Gabe Matthews, everyone. So here's the story of what just happened here. So we've done some audio checks. We've had some fun in the age of COVID. Doing these podcasts remotely is not ideal, but we're pressing forward and innovating, and in a time where COVID is wreaking havoc on all our lives. How's your business doing with COVID, Gabe?
It's had its ups and downs. I mean, we've had some awesome successes, and we've had some failures. But I mean, geez, it's a cool learning experience.
Yeah, I really thought that when it first started to lock down, this was going to be pretty quick and temporary, and then it very quickly turned into something that was going to be protracted. What's the effect been on your business? Have you gotten a bunch of disinfecting services in the door?
We made it a call to not do any of that work.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it was the right call. We had a big meeting with our managers, and we just said, hey, is this something we want to get into, or is this something we don't? So we shied away from it. And it's just how the whole team felt. They didn't want to, risk anything or put our employees in that harm's way, or just be more susceptible.
Got it.
Thank God we've been staying steady. Everyone's worked. We've been, keeping everyone busy. Our shop is amazingly clean, like 10 times.
I bet. Well, we're recording this in mid-November, so multiple months after the pandemic first kind of hit us in a lockdown in March. What really started this conversation was you reaching out around M&A, and I'd love to hear more about what your question was.
I was reaching out about business acquisitions. I had, like, in November of last year, I was approached by a company, I'll just call it a franchise-ish company.
Okay.
About acquiring them, and
about you acquiring them.
Me acquiring them.
Okay.
He wanted to get out of the market. Was done. It was hard because it was a franchise-based company. But there was workarounds, and it was funny. I don't want to say I'm a numbers guy, but in using Dash, I'm a numbers guy. It's like
that is kind of our core demographic.
Yeah, it's like, what, can you give me some data? Where are your sales at? Where are you getting your work from? If you ask me, I probably can't print the sheets out, but if I had a meeting, I could have my controllers and my coordinators and my accountant. They could give me so much data now that it's not even funny. And I could present you a book on where our business comes from, how much business comes from that, what are ratios, what are our closing. All that stuff that's available. I asked them for just like any sort of data, and they had they had QuickBooks. And I'm just like, I can't. So what they wanted, I could not put that dollar sign to.
So you couldn't
I
figure
couldn't
out
even,
the value of this business to you because they didn't have the data
I couldn't
to,
even put half of the dollar sign that they wanted to it.
yeah.
Which actually, I mean, looking back, uh, it was probably awesome because we acquired so many new accounts just by them selling to somebody else.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it was a good thing for me regardless. But that just kind of got my mind thinking, like, man, for the 3 to 5 year growth pattern, like, do you grow by hiring more sales reps or adding more services, or do you just go buy some other companies, like buy some smaller companies?
So when you reached out and asked this question, I immediately thought, gosh, this could be a great podcast because this is such a hot topic. Now, maybe because we've done 5 acquisitions in the last 4 years, people tend to reach out to me to ask my opinion on it because of everything we've done in that space, or it's just a hot topic. You see, private equity getting into our space at a larger degree, buying up a single large franchise or not franchise independent, and then building a national presence by acquiring other locations. And so this is happening either through private equity, people consolidating, doing it themselves. It's happening obviously in the technology space as we're doing it. Mergers and acquisition is happening all around us, and I think it's a really interesting thing to talk about, and I think it is a good strategy for growing. So I'm just curious, what's your thoughts on your approach going forward? Are you actively looking today?
I have had a couple meetings with other companies. Um, one company's a little smaller than us. One company's about twice our size. So I guess that's where the scary thing comes in. It's like, you know, obviously if I'm going to buy a company that's twice my size, you know, obviously there's a dollar there, but,
Sure.
and then at the same time, the company that's half my size, it's like, I guess there's a lot of unknowns, to, you know, how to move forward, what to look for, how's our culture going to fit? Can they adopt? Because I'm not going to change my culture. I'm not going to change what I've built. So it's like, how do you go about that and have them buy into what I have?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. You look at next gear, and we started out with our first acquisition was a client runner that was buying essentially one of our smaller competitors that did exactly what we did in the job management space. And for us, it was really important to not only get that team on our team, but to marry the two companies. And I look at all the acquisitions that we've done as marriages, and it can't be uh, looked at as a conquering, right? Like if you're gonna look at this as like, hey, I acquired you, we were competing, now you're work for me, and you're just gonna do things the way I did it. That doesn't work well culturally in terms of getting those people to fit. Now, if you're just looking to, try to buy their accounts, maybe that works. But if you're buying people too, meaning you like the teams and you like a little bit about what they're doing and you want to keep them involved, I think it's really important to make a new company out of that acquisition, even if it's a small one, and kind of treat their history and your history as kind of interconnected, and now you become one company.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's super important to, if especially if you feel like you've got something special in your culture, to preserve that. And if you do have a special culture, I think that will make it even easier. I think that's why NextGear has had such success in acquiring other companies, is because our culture was so strong. It was something that everyone wanted to be a part of, and we, I think, did a good job honoring the companies that we brought into our team and honoring those people and their histories and their cultures and kind of turning them into one.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting because you have, I guess that'd be, you know, and talking to some other different people, you know, who have gone through this as well. They said, I mean, that's the biggest thing is, in a sense, even, you know, it's almost like you're marrying someone and they have kids, and then you also have kids,
That's right. That's right.
and then we want our kids to live together, and the kids are the
That's
same
right.
age.
That's
It's
exactly
like,
right.
how do you? And they said that was the hardest. That was the hardest thing, because there is a give take, you know, but there's got to be like a give.
And most acquisitions fail. Like if you look at acquisitions throughout all different industries, they don't go very well a lot of times. I remember on the third acquisition that we did, the private equity partners we have coming to me and saying, "Hey, Garrett, like you just need to be prepared that this acquisition won't go as well as the last couple." Because they just don't always, you can't do 5 or 4 or whatever we had done at that time and have them all go well. We kind of proved them wrong and did, but it's not without work, and it's not without kind of setting aside some ego. And I think that's true for both sides, right? Like if you're competing with somebody one day and then you are now on the same team the next day, like there's some work you've got to do to for both sides to kind of release that ego and get on the same team.
And I guess if you're putting money up front too, I mean, I don't want to buy accounts because, you know, you hear a lot of people that they're, you know,
It
oh
doesn't work well, right? Like
yeah, oh, this is,
buying accounts, people
I just
change
go
their
buy a phone
loyalties real
book.
quickly. Yeah.
I don't want to buy a phone book because, I mean, I know you have the saying, or everyone says like, you know, relationships. And we've seen this where we have a sales rep. That sales rep says, "Oh man, you guys, I've made such good relationships," and something happens, and they got to move out of state. And they're like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll never lose these accounts because I formed such a
Yeah,
good
right.
relationship." Well, the minute that sales rep leaves, it opens the door for them to give that new guy that one chance.
That's right.
So we've seen a lot of business loss before in the past that way also.
Is your thought in these acquisitions that you're going to buy companies where the owners want out?
The two that I've looked into, the owners want out
Got it.
and they don't want to sell back to the existing. And I've asked like, hey, well, why not just sell back to the internal people? And they're like, just we don't want to do that because I mean, one guy gave me a reason of just I don't think there's anyone in here that can lead like we need them to lead. Great workers, great team, but they don't have that guy or that girl to bring them to that next level.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that's where I fit in. You know, one of them, no, they both reached out to me. So that's what kind of sparked my ear too. Is I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm super honored to for you guys to think of me like that. Like that's a great, for me, that's a great accomplishment. Like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, especially because it's the opposite that's happening a lot right now. I see, a lot of people who've been in this industry for a long time getting approached by either private equity groups or by roll-ups that are happening that are typically private equity backed to say, "Hey, are you tired yet? We'll buy your business and you'll stay on and as kind of a general manager." And that's happening everywhere. That's happening all around us. There's a lot of consolidation going on in our industry. And people are tired, right? People have been doing this for a very long time, some people longer than others. And some people want to just be a part of something bigger so they can compete on a more regional or national basis. And some people are looking to get out. I think the one thing to think about is if you're acquiring companies where the founder or the owner wants out and they don't feel like there's great leadership there, it's like, what are you inheriting or buying? Are you buying a effective team, or are you buying somebody who, or a company that doesn't have the leadership and it's going to become a drag on your main business?
Well, yeah, that's where a couple of my 100 concerns, right, is like, if you buy a company and that person wants out that fast, well, is that a huge red flag? Like, why do you want out so fast?
Right. Well, I mean, it is true that this is a hard industry to work in, right? Like, I can't hate on anybody who needs a break after building a restoration company from the ground up.
Yeah, and then you're like, another company, the guy wanted out. He had a family situation. He's like, hey, like something happened, I'm out. Like whether someone buys me or not, I'm out. Okay, well that's a different situation than the other guy
Yeah.
that's like, dude, I gotta leave. Why? I can't. He made some excuse up, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, bro, it just sounds like a death trap. Um, so I don't know, just like mixed emotions. And then there's emotions involved, I've had some meetings and I've sat down with my team and, my main managers, they got way more different concerns than I do.
What are their concerns?
I mean, integration, who leads who? I mean, you got two general managers. Who's now your general manager? You got two operation
Yep.
managers. Who assumes operations?
Yep.
Do our sales guys are freaking out because they're like, well, I mean, who gets accounts? I mean, to me, though, that's the easy part. Well, they have accounts that we don't have, and we have accounts that they don't have.
Yeah, but these are the complexities that are the hardest to navigate in all of these mergers. We've had those same challenges. You get some overlap, maybe sometimes a lot of overlap of the teams, and now you've got who reports to who, who's who's the manager, who's the subordinate. Like it's a tricky thing to navigate, and a big reason why a lot of these acquisitions fail. One, because people don't move fast enough to make these decisions. I think one of the things I've learned over the last 5 acquisitions is whatever decision you're going to make, whatever it is, who gets what accounts, who's going to take which role, that sometimes there's the desire to move slow and kind of figure it out. I think the best advice I was ever given is on everything you do, move fast.
Really?
People don't like to not know what's going to happen, but it includes your employees and your customers, and so have a really good plan and move with speed. And so you're gonna have to make hard decisions when you do it, but it's better to make hard decisions with speed than to delay and drag that out, because everyone feels uneasy in the process.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, another hard for me too, like, is I guess locations. Like how thin do I want to spread myself? I mean,
Yes.
I like doing what I want when I want, you know, whether I choose to do it or not, right? So is this going to put a toll on my life
I would
for
love that life. How do I trade with you?
like is this going to put a toll on my life, my marriage, my family? And it will. And if so, for
And the
how
answer is
long?
yes,
And
100%.
is it worth the sacrifice,
Yeah.
Or do we just keep doing what we're doing, growing, growing healthy over, year after year, and not don't go get that, I don't know what's the right phrase, get rich quick. Like certain things are good to do slow, but then I think sometimes you get to a point and you're just like, okay, we're at a roadblock. How much effort do we want to put into this, or do we get rich quick? But everyone else in the company, oh, that's cool, but it's not their money, it's my money also.
I think it just depends on what your exit plan is, or what your plan is. Like, are you building a lifestyle business where it's easy to run and it can support the lifestyle that you want to live? Uh, are you building a business to sell? Are you passing the business down to children? There are so many different, ways you can either exit or live with the business that you've built. And I think knowing the destination is really important for, the moves you make now. So do you want to share where you want to go, or is that too personal?
No, I mean, yeah, I guess my road book is, I mean, I took over the business from my dad.
Yep.
When I started with my dad, we were a carpet cleaning only company. I bought my dad out. Well, I'm in a transition buyout. I have 3 years left on my buyout, but I sold the carpet cleaning business 3 years ago. So something my dad started, we no longer do at all.
Which that's pretty common, right? Like a lot of people are getting out of that, or some people are getting back into it too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I didn't have the passion for it. So I felt like it was the hardest part for me about it was what my dad started.
Yeah.
So
So it was a part of the legacy.
yeah. And I mean, I guess when I first started with him, I guess I loved carpet cleaning because that's all we did.
Yeah.
And then I learned about this emergency service, chaotic nightmare world that was out there and thought, wow, this is crazy. Let's get involved with this. Right.
Yep.
Like controlled chaos. And I love it. It fuels me.
And let's be honest, it's a little more profitable than carpet cleaning.
Well, I mean, I can go spend an hour on a $200 carpet cleaning problem and get it resolved, and I can get paid $200. I can go spend an hour on a $20,000 emergency service problem and get paid the same amount of money. So it's like
That's right.
problems are just more worth the reward, you know?
That's right. That's
So,
right.
I mean, on an exit strategy, I have 4 kids. My oldest daughter is only 14, and then my youngest son's 8. So I got 14, 12, 10, and 8. Man, it would be a life dream to have them work for me one day or with me, or take the company over. I definitely don't want to sell. I feel like I have a lifestyle right now, and I feel like our company is running so good. COVID really put that to the test. I mean, I checked out and I went out to the river for almost 3 months, and I would just, check back in every once in a while.
Can we make a plug for Dash where we're using Dash to check in on the business while we're at the river?
I wake up I'd wake up with the sunrise, get my coffee, get on my
shameless
laptop,
here.
go in, check my altitude, go through accounts. Luxor would send me my updates. My managers would send me their reports. My Monday morning snapshot was epic. I loved that email that I got Monday mornings for my
Great.
weekly review. It made life so I don't want to say easy. It made life easier.
Well, that's the intention behind a platform like Dash, right? Like, give you the ability to do beachside management or lakeside management, wherever you're at. Like, if you're looking to run your
beach and do your job. Literally, I
yeah
was sitting on my deck overlooking the water doing my job, and
yeah
the company was doing awesome. So that almost gave me a reality check. Like, man, this is awesome. Why? I don't want to leave. Part of me thinks almost sometimes America has it backwards. It's like we work so hard, and then when our kids are grown up, then we want to retire, right? Like,
yeah that's
we
right.
should spend time with our kids now while they like us.
That's
And
right.
then when they go off, we could go back to work, or we could put in some more time. Because our wife sure doesn't want us home, probably. We're going to be annoying. They'd be like, or go, just get out of the house, right?
What do you think is your secret to that? I'm gonna diverge from the M&A piece for a little bit, because look, even a lot of our customers are Dash users and friends I have in this industry. I don't know that a lot of them feel I don't know that a lot of them feel like they can just take off and manage, through Dash or through anything. They still feel super tied to their business. That if they aren't there, things will fall apart. Is that what do you think you're doing differently?
I hate micromanaging. Like, I
Yeah,
hate micromanaging with a passion. I don't like someone putting their finger over me. I don't want to put my finger on someone else, right?
sure.
So I think there's a trust factor. It's like you're paying all this money to use a system, and you're not going to trust in it. Trust in the system that you're paying for, the software, trust in it. But I think as humans, we don't want to give that away. And then as business owners, we have so much pride that someone's going to do it better than us.
Hmm.
And I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with not being the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, I can relate to that. That is, next year started with me and just a few other people, and now several hundred people all over the world, and most people in the company are smarter than me at this point. So
I have the ideas, right? I come in with all these ideas. I come in with these visions. I come in with these crazy audacious goals, and then my team works on either telling me a polite way of, Gabe, you're crazy. You can't do this, or Let us try. Let us try to tackle it. Let us do a test pilot program. Let us try this. And that's what was, I think, really cool due to COVID. Man, going paperless. A year ago, my team was like, "Taw, we can't go paperless. That's just, you can't do it. It's not possible."
COVID changed the whole game overnight, right? Like you had to go paperless.
Paperless. There's no paper anywhere. There's no work orders. There's no contracts. Everything's done via iPad or DocuSign, or it's just our updates. Like everything is through the system. But we had to trust the system. Like we had to do it or we were going to fail.
How about holding people accountable? Like, so I think it's great to trust people, but have you had to hold people accountable in that process, or are people just always doing what they need to do?
Oh, we had to let a couple people go.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that they did not want to buy in like 98% of the rest of us.
Yeah.
And they put their feet down, and we tried to coach them. We tried to bend the rules, and it's like, nah, man, you gotta buy in. Like, I don't know if I heard it from you guys or from someone back at one of the conferences. It's like, we are no longer, like, we used to have this family atmosphere.
You're moving to a sports team. That was I think that was Last Connect.
Crazy Aunt Martha is going to show up every Thanksgiving and give us her political, religious, whatever, right? And she's going to be there every single Thanksgiving.
Yep.
But guess what? On a sports team, we'll cut you so fast it's not even funny. And yeah, and you know
that's
what?
one way to put it.
It's like, if you're not here to be an all-star, like go to AAA. You're still going to play in the game. I get it, but go be a AAA player somewhere. Or maybe I feel our company is so great that you're going to go to another company and you're going to be their rock star, but to us, you're our bottom person.
Which is okay, right? Every team has different players and different strengths, and people trade players
somewhere else.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I think it's I think it's a trust, and I think that's one of the things I've taken from my dad. I think the most is like, he's like, man, you gotta trust in people. Like you gotta, you gotta be careful, but you gotta show them your trust. And when you show them your trust, they're either gonna win you over, or they're gonna find their way somewhere else. They're gonna find their way out.
Yeah, I find that people who don't fit or that are untrustworthy find a way of firing themselves or just leaving. And when you've got a strong culture that is one that wants to win, that wants to be excellent, that wants to do things better than everybody else, if that's the culture of the team and everybody wants to do their part to win, those who are looking to just check the box, they don't last long for lots of reasons. The culture chews them up and spits them out. And look, there are places where they're not going to be that intense, and so it's a better fit for those players. But I think you're 100% right. We've been talking a lot about how we've moved Next Gear from a family culture to a sports team culture over the last several years, and it's been a good transition for us because, look, people still want to be a part of something. People should be a part of something and be a part of something bigger than themselves. But in the end, we can't carry weaker players if it's going to be a detriment to the team, because generally what that means is that the people who are working tirelessly are having to carry water for everybody else, and it's frankly not fair.
Yeah, but I mean, even on a sports team, most sports teams, like professional, they spend more time with their teammates than they do their family. So they are a family.
That's right.
They're just a family that doesn't settle for anything but perfection.
That's right, and that comes with requirements from the ownership and from management, right? Like, you're not on a sports team and you're not just like not catching the ball you need to catch, or hitting the field goal you need to hit. Like, that comes with coaching, and if we're not coaching our teams, then we're not holding up our end of that equation. And so I think as people try to transition into different types of cultural frameworks, it's important to know, if you're going to choose a professional sport team framework, that requires coaching from not only the top down, but all of your managers, they need to be good coaches and help people perform better and play back the tape to figure out what they could do better next time, encouraging them, but holding them accountable.
And I guess all that, like, even though we kind of, diversed or, digressed a little
You
bit,
can
is
go back to mergers and acquisitions.
all that over the last 6 months has been making me think, I mean, do I put my energy and effort into, a purchase, right? Or do I put my energy and effort into a couple other business sectors that are emergency service based that we don't even touch? Like, we don't do school districts, we don't do municipality work, we don't do government contracts. I mean, we're in San Diego. I mean, we have one of the biggest, Navy military, like,
Yeah.
10 minutes from our office. So do I put my energy into that? And that's not going to cost me, hundreds of thousands or $1 million up front. I mean, I can peck away at that slowly, and it's going to be that slow growth over time, which is more manageable. I can somewhat control the growth. I can control the culture, definitely, or I can at least, have it easily adaptable. So I don't know. I guess my brain's just going in like a million different directions.
Well, look, I've seen a lot of acquisitions in our space not work out well. I've seen some that have worked out well. I think it's a legitimate strategy to grow if you want to grow fast and create a regional presence that could be more valuable to somebody else, maybe a private equity company or a private equity company roll up that is looking to acquire multiple locations. I think the value of your business will compound as the number of locations you have that are operating successfully, because you're essentially expanding your TAM, your total addressable market. You're giving somebody a foothold into multiple markets they can expand from. So there is a strategy if you're looking to create lots and lots of value, and you're willing to put in a lot of work, and take the sacrifice that it takes to kind of dig into acquisitions. I think it's maybe not the strategy that you're looking for, because I don't think it comes with a whole lot of quality of life, unless you, at least not right away, unless you've got a team that's adept at doing mergers and acquisitions for you, and they're kind of running the show, which I think is a possible thing to set up. But I'll tell you, like, it's a lot of work, and they come with a lot of risk and a lot of upside. But I would have struggled to do it on my own. Like, the only reason why we were able to do it was because we were backed by a private equity group that knew exactly how to kind of execute, and we just had to execute the cultural integrations. It's not wanting to discourage you, but I do think you have to choose like what's your strategy for growth. And a legitimate strategy for growth is, we're going to roll up a bunch of players and we're going to create a regional presence. I think it's an exciting strategy. But it's not one that's for the faint of heart or people looking to have the most work-life balance.
It's funny, you have this call, and it's almost like I'm talking out loud, and that's helping me make a better decision.
Look, like, again, like, I actually don't want to. I have grown so much through the process of merging with a bunch of other companies and acquiring companies, and I'm so lucky because I had amazing founders. Like, a lot of the founders that we acquired, or the companies that we acquired, are still on our team and serving in really important roles. And I could not do this today without the group of founders and the management teams that is behind us.
That's because they wanted to stay, though. They didn't find their way out.
That's right. Exactly. And see, that's one of the things that you might shift your focus and not just look for people who are looking to get out, but maybe look for other founders you can kind of team up with that would be excited to kind of share in the vision that you've got, and are okay being led, but are good at running their locations, and believe in a common vision that would make you guys a more formidable, competitor, someone that can, play regionally. I mean, there is a different level of access you get. A lot of these bigger clients of ours or, friends I have in the industry, when you've got a regional presence, like you're now getting direct relationships with carriers. You don't always have to go through, third-party administrator or whatnot. So there is some benefit to having a certain size. So, it just really depends on what your long-term exit strategy is. If you're looking to, be able to sell your company to somebody else looking to do the same thing in the next X amount of years, then you could take one, path. The other path, and for everyone listening, like that is an absolute path right now. 17 years ago, there wasn't a lot of acquisition happening in our space when I first got into restoration. But today, I've got probably 10 different, companies, whether they're franchisors or they're private equity groups or roll-ups, who are asking us on a regular basis, who are the people that we can buy? Because, to circle back to one of your earlier points, if they don't have the data to demonstrate, how well they're doing, it's hard to value them. And so for those listening who do want to eventually exit, one of the pieces of advice I'll give you is, focus on your data. Because when someone wants to come and buy your business, they're not just going to buy it based on how you characterize it. They're going to buy it based on what your data footprint looks like, how you can, demonstrate the quality of your sales, and are you losing ground each year? Are you gaining ground each year? Are you working with the same clients over and over again, or are they working with you once and then moving on to somebody else? All these things are factors that will help people value the business. And just like Gabe was talking about earlier, when he's looking to go, buy a business, they don't have that data. It's very hard to decide if you'll even move forward, and two, how to value it. And so a lot of people come to us because they know our clients are going to be better at acquiring and maintaining that data, and they're looking for leads for, who can they go after and buy. What are good businesses out there? So I say that just to say, it's a path for people. If people are tired, it is absolutely, the time to think about, selling your business to somebody. And then I think there's another path that I see happening is, owners, banding together and deciding to create bigger businesses together. And then, that makes them more valuable. And that's a path. So I think there's lots of interesting things happening in our space, with private equity getting more involved, different people having different ideas about how they can build bigger companies with multiple locations. And it's a really interesting conversation, which is why I wanted to hop on and see if we could turn this conversation into a podcast.
No worries. Yeah, thanks for making the time for me. It's much appreciated.
Now I hope others get some value out of it as well. So
right on.
Thanks, Gabe. Hope everyone enjoyed listening to that.
All right,
you guys have a great day.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. Like always, this podcast is intended to be for restoration contractors in service to our industry. If you ever have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email me, tim.kempe@nextgearsolutions.com. Thank you again for listening.